This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our listening guest is Emma Skolosdra.
I want to know how you got into your theater and writing, but what else happened in the high school?
I mean, I was a part of I was part of the theater department in my high school. We did some musicals and some plays. I also did some like stage crew stuff with that. I think that was I did theater when I was younger too. Just like casually like random shows that nobody's ever heard of. But I really had more of a chance to do it in high school because we did so much more of it and there was options to take theater classes and I loved my theater professor who was also my English professor, which guys, I'm studying English and theater, so perfect. Um, but I think I really got the chance to explore my love for theater in high school. I think it really sparked a lot of joy in me because especially with the musical I got to incorporate the dance aspect of myself because I've always loved dance. So being able to incorporate that into theater, which I also love, is awesome.
How was your OCD playing into all this, or just the medications stopped it or make a particular part numb?
I'm no, it's definitely still there. Nothing is numb. If that wasn't the goal. It was just to make it easier to manage, I would say. Um, I think it was definitely there, but it was more manageable, so it wasn't affecting my day-to-day life or the way I was able to enjoy these things. I was able to go and enjoy acting and
Mm.
able to enjoy dance and writing and all of the things that I loved, which I previously wasn't able to enjoy without before I was prescribed by the doctor.
But in addition to medications, you made other efforts
Oh
to.
yeah, I therapy constantly and just I definitely personal growth is very important to me. I spend a lot of time self-reflecting, so I'm able to communicate my feelings and just really I enjoy like being able to understand who I am as a person. Like it is very satisfying to me when I something clicks and I'm like, "Oh, that's why I am the way that I am." So,
How do you channel your thoughts? Do you journal?
so actually I don't, which is kind of surprising because I feel like with how much I love writing, I would be writing it. Um, but I just never connected with that for some reason. I prefer just talking to someone face to face, like in therapy, or like my mom, or just anybody. Um,
But you don't document them on a camera anymore?
no,
No?
no video camera. Can you imagine my mom like pulls out a camera every time I have a panic attack? Like that would be
Yeah,
crazy.
no, I was thinking you can take out your own phone and
Oh,
let me start
okay.
here. Okay.
Guys, I'm crying right now. This is what's up. No.
Content. I mean, that will be unlimited content.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, that teacher became the reason for the band, like a better phrase, for you to go into college with the desire of studying English and theater.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't confident in that yet, I would say, like senior year of high school. So I did go into college undecided. I didn't declare a major or anything, and I took some time to figure out what I wanted for sure. And I just realized how much I love my English classes. I love discussion-based learning, which is a lot of like what you do when you analyze literature and when you analyze film even. Um, I've always really enjoyed that. So that's how I kind of realized the English aspect of it. And the more and more I started writing, I realized how much I enjoy writing. Now I'm in a playwriting class, which is like theater and writing combined. So perfect for me. Um, and theater wise, I would say that was I actually did declare that going in. I was a theater minor going into college. I didn't have a major.
Mm.
Um, and because I knew that I wanted to do that and I would have fun with it and that I wanted it to always be a part of my life in some capacity. I think I knew that I was always a little bit more interested in like film acting, but there's not an opportunity for that in high school. There's no like film acting classes. It's just like you go to drama club and you put on a play on stage. So I did what I had the opportunities to do. So when last a couple weeks ago, somebody asked me. I was visiting my girlfriend's college, and I met one of her friends, and a question that he asked me that really stuck with me. He says he likes to ask everybody when he meets, "What's a project you're working on that you're really proud of?" And I mean, obviously you're working on the podcast, but like, do you know what's coming next after this?
Yes. But the question is, what do you mean by proud of?
Just something you're passionate about that you're working,
Hmm.
like something you're excited about to tell people that you're working on. Like I said, I'm writing a novel. That's the thing that I'm really excited about that I'm working on.
So, first of all, I don't tell everybody because I also believe there's no point of sharing with everybody I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Why? Right? I'm not the guy who just wants recognition from everyone.
Mhm.
People I trust or I think something interesting will be in this project they'd like, appreciate, or help them in one way or the other, or they want to just encourage me, I
Mhm.
usually share with them. Whatever I do, I get fully involved in that.
Yeah.
And which is great, but I think I've learned over the period of time how important self care,
Mhm.
sleep is, all those kind of things. So, and I am still growing in that. Like there was a
Yeah.
time where I would sleep 4 hours because I know I have a shoot tomorrow and I
Right.
have to check everything and all. And now I have learned maybe it's better to take a day off.
Mhm.
And during this podcast run, this is our third month, there have been a couple of instances where we filmed back to back.
Yeah.
So somebody said I can only do Thursday, and the other guy said I can only do Wednesday.
Right.
Otherwise, I try to take one day off.
Mhm.
So the DIT work of downloading the content and transferring it to the editors and all, we don't have to do the same night. We can do it
Yeah.
tomorrow, or we don't have to wake up at 3 a.m. to do that before the shoot.
You're not gonna make successful stuff if you're not taking care of yourself. So.
And if you make a successful content, let's say,
Yeah.
you will not be successful because if you're again, how do you define success? If you define success which does not include your health and well-being, there is a problem.
Yeah.
Right? And so I get passionate about all my projects. When I'm
Mhm.
involved in one project, usually I am on it.
Yeah.
Right? And I think grad school really helped me to get into that. I still remember there was a professor who said, if you can't turn in your paper on the due date, the
Mhm.
deadline, you just can't do it, which means you can never have a perfect paper
Yeah.
because you'll revisit it after a week. You'll say,
Million times.
oh,
Yeah.
I could have written this and that.
Yeah.
And whatever, you might think it's a B grade paper,
Mhm.
but at least you turned that in. That's more important.
Yeah.
And in filmmaking, I learned this when I started short films.
Mhm.
There will be a lot of people, maybe more people than you think, who would not like your idea, who might think it's a shit show, who might discourage you.
Yeah.
But it's their perspective.
Yeah.
And then there are more people to give you suggestions and recommendations.
It's a collaborative process, and you're gonna find the people that resonate with your vision.
Very rarely.
Yeah.
I remember during a short film, I had a collaborator, and she showed 3 or 4 of my movies to her husband,
Mhm.
who was then editor of a magazine, who was involved in United Nations,
Mhm.
a very intelligent and remarkable man. Interestingly, he liked one of the short films which I thought wasn't great. The reason, because I heard that from my cinematographer, from my DP, that maybe, I don't know, right? And he liked that because he said it had proper beginning, middle, and end. It had
Mhm.
a cover to cover within those 10 minutes thing, story
Yeah.
told, right? So what she said to me was, she said, always trust yourself.
Yeah, you're gonna
So,
find somebody that likes the story, even if it's not the first person
right,
you show or the first person that watches your movie or reads your book. Somebody
right.
will like it,
Definitely. But
and you like
when
it.
making process, I think
Hmm.
that could be very tricky if you try to just say you tell, you tell, you tell, you tell, and
Yeah,
none of them aligns with your vision, or even they all don't align with each other
yeah,
because there'll be different perspectives. So you gotta decide if you're making a movie, you're writing a novel, then you are the first person
hmm,
who should be happy with it.
yeah. That's why I'm debating right now if I want to self-publish or traditional publish, because if I self-publish, I have a lot more control over the whole
Mhm.
story writing process. Because if I traditionally publish, there's things I can change. I can't even control the title if I traditionally publish a
Mhm.
book. So in some ways, I'm leaning towards self-publishing just so I have more creative control over the story that I want to tell.
Mhm. No, I think that's important thing to keep in mind
Yeah.
because I learned that more during our comedy series
Hmm.
because there will be so actors and this that was the most interesting experience I had working with actors from all sorts of background. Like
Yeah.
you have an actor who might be from Yale and the other actor who might have had no acting training,
Hmm.
right? And they will bring in their own perspectives.
Yeah.
Why? Because we always see ourselves, as you mentioned, or resonate. So somebody might have done that kind of scene in the acting school or
Right.
previous project. And I think I became very, over the period of time, I became very particular that no, let's do it this way without saying more than that. But because if I have spent 2 years with a writer in setting the tone of the show and you come here in 30th episode or someone else comes in the 50th episode, they have a limited understanding of that.
Of course.
So it goes back to the same idea that unless you listen and recognize and try to stand in that the feet of someone else, then you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
And if you try to do that, still, it's a try. You can't fully
Yeah.
empathize. You can't fully understand what someone has in their mind or going
Everybody
through.
has their own journey. That goes back to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody develops a little bit differently. Everybody has their own perspective.
Mhm. So that's why I get passionate and I have learned to be more involved.
Yeah.
Previously, I used to do, okay, I've given this task to someone else and let them do it and I'll just prove it. But now I think I am more involved in my
Hmm.
projects because I came to an understanding. Like, I can't have a full understanding of your novel. You can tell me, you
I
can
can
tell
tell
me
you,
10
yes.
times, and
I can read
uh,
it to you, and you
sure,
still
yeah.
wouldn't have the full.
Yeah, because there might be a word, and you might have used that because of something, right?
Exactly.
There is always that background, I say, that makes you
Hmm.
believe something becomes
And
something.
you're not going to pick up on every metaphor, every connection to
Right.
everything else. Like, it's just not how it works.
Yeah. So that's why this is the project I intentionally wanted to do this for a semester. I thought
Hmm.
in my mind I was using that term. I
Yeah.
wanted to have around for 3 months and see how can I help people listen to each other. Because, for example, if you subscribe to, and it will be public.
Yeah.
If you subscribe to a channel, it'll be on.
Yeah.
You will, it's not that all of your parts will be there at the same time. Your part one comes, and then after that, XYZ's part one comes, and you will listen to them, they will listen to
Yeah.
you. And you're like, never thought of that.
Yeah.
The same way, like, I forgot how you started this about the movie. And I was like, oh, that was all of that, right?
Yeah.
So we always learn, and our eyes get opened when we listen.
Hmm.
The problem is most of us don't listen,
Yeah.
right? Or we are just ready in the defensive mode. You say something against me or my group or my choice or my movie or my profession identity, and I'm gonna punch you back, right?
Yeah.
So that's not listening. That doesn't help. So I fully try to listen in terms of what works, and even minor changes like production design
Mhm.
change, the equipment change, the light style change,
Yeah.
and it's still learning because every guest is different. With every guest, I try to relate a little differently.
Yeah.
I can't fully like get a different person,
No,
but
but you want it to be a comfortable
yeah,
environment.
so they don't feel like, oh my god, I
Yeah.
have to talk to him now.
He's
Right.
judging everything I'm saying. I can't say anything. Like, no.
He's too loud, yelling at me. So I'm really passionate
Mhm.
or proud of this. Using your language, I'm really proud of this project,
Yay.
and it is coming to an end. It was a great run,
Mhm.
and this was my personal desire to give back to the community, give people a platform to share and listen. And all those who can't be here, they could become a part of listening and sharing too.
I love that, and I'm really happy that I get to be a part of it. I've always wanted to like be able to make just a little bit of an impact, just somebody see themselves in me, just a little bit, just anything that I can do to make a difference. Back to like my OCD and my anxiety and stuff, I think that my love for dance has really been like a crutch for me through that. I think it's given me a creative outlet and a way to express myself. It because a lot of people when you go to therapy, they tell you to like exercise, move your body for all the endorphins that you get and everything to help regulate your nervous system and your anxiety. I get that through dance and I get to be creative and express myself. So it feels very good physically and it helps me to stay in a good place, in a good mood, and keep my anxiety in check.
And I think it's great because with dance, depending what kind of dance, but mostly dances, you learn to convey your thoughts non-verbally,
Yep.
right? And it's a great way to learn how to story tell with your body.
Mm-hmm.
In film acting, because you were talking about your interest in film acting has more non-verbal
Mm-hmm.
stuff than, say, a play. Musical, maybe you can still have some stuff, but say it's a straight play and the character is not doing anything, sitting in a deep thought for more than 30 seconds, and someone is sitting way back, you can't even see.
Yeah.
But it's a little different kind of medium. So dance is a great way. It can also, again, I started with Latin dancing.
Oh, that's cool. I've wanted to do that.
No, I didn't do that
Yeah,
yet.
I haven't done it.
Oh,
I
you
haven't.
should.
Was it like ballroom, like partner dancing?
I have done that too.
I have. I grew up watching Dancing with the Stars. I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to get into ballroom. I always said before my wedding day, I'm going to take professional ballroom dance classes.
Yeah,
Like, so
yeah,
my
no, no,
first dance can be
that's
awesome.
great. Yeah. I don't know if I was that awesome. You might be. Because I remember I was in the acting school, and here there's a dance studio
Mhm.
on 8th Ave, 30th or 31st Street, right? And every evening I would go there.
Mhm.
So every evening they had a different class. But if you try to learn everything, it's maybe not great. But I was just working more like having a movement in
Of
my body
course.
and also sweating a little bit.
Yeah.
So I learned there almost every kind of dance.
That's awesome.
And I had to switch to another kind of salsa because I think I was told, because I started with Latin dancing. So there were salsa classes there too. And the guy who used to teach, he said, "Oh, you learned, I forgot, salsa at 1 or 2, and here it's different one. That's
Oh,
Chicago-based
that's
salsa." And I was
interesting.
like, great.
Yeah.
So I got confused about both the salsas. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
But that's great for even your breath to work in your
Yeah.
body when you're doing and being more aware, especially when you're doing partner work
Yeah.
in terms of your acting
It
skills.
definitely helps me with the acting too. I mean, um, contemporary dancing has always been one of my favorites because it's more emotional. I get to physicalize the emotions of the song and whatever the choreographer is trying to express. It's more of an acting thing, even with my face. Like, I've always really enjoyed that because, again, it's dance, it's acting, it's storytelling, all of the things that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, that's great. I also think in my journey I incorporated martial arts,
Oh, that's cool.
and
I
I
wanted to do that too.
learned, yeah, how martial arts helps you to heal your breath and bring
Yeah.
your emotion to
Hmm.
reality. Actually, when we were filming Abrogation, Madison, Ariel, who plays Madison, I got her trained at a judo studio
That's awesome.
here at Midtown.
Yeah.
And so she could more be grounded
Hmm.
and her emotion and that resonance
Yeah, I love
could
that.
be well more alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of why I'm more aligned with doing like other spirituality type like witchcraft things now, because I can really tap into the energy of different things and focus on the emotions and the physical feelings and grounding myself. That's all something that really interests me now.
Should I be scared of you? This
No,
witchcraft, isn't it more
no,
like demonology based
no,
stuff?
no,
Okay,
no.
talk to me. What is witchcraft
So
in this part of the world or in your own belief system?
yeah, so I think it's different for everybody, but I mostly just focus on like energy work, and it's like very self-empowering and cleansing, healing. Like, it's a healing journey basically.
Okay.
Um and I use the world around me to help. I'm wearing crystals right now. These crystals are green, and they're because they match my outfit, but also because they are meant to be grounding and keep you in the present moment, and connected with nature, which I got plants here. I'm good. I'm so connected with nature.
No, the reason I'm saying, like, for example, in the Eastern world, there are many religions. Hinduism, as an example,
Yeah.
they wear stones and
Hmm.
crystals, and they will sit on the ground. They'll be
Yeah.
closer to the nature. They are mostly vegetarian.
Yeah.
So, what's the difference between them and somebody saying, "I'm a witch. I will do witchcraft"? You see, like, how scary that could be. Me
It's
sitting
not
here, like, oh my god.
scary.
And
That's a
she
stereotype.
didn't tell me she was a witch.
No.
Oh God, that's a stereotype. All right, so fix that.
Okay, okay. Um, no, it's more about self-love and like, yes, I use the things of the earth like other um maybe parts of the world do. I'm sure that modern day paganism pulls a lot from like older traditions, because it is a lot of taking like different herbs and like stones and everything, um, and doing things with intention. So if you have the intention, um, and I only do things with good intentions, I'm not gonna like curse you. um, I will have an intention that I need a little bit of extra self-love. So maybe I'll put on like a rose quartz crystal, and I will hold it, and I will like in focus my energy there and imagine it providing me with extra love and support throughout the day. Um and yeah, I don't know.
So why can't a normal normal means a person who does not call themselves a witch or a wizard? Because see, when I think of a wizard, I think of Gandalf.
I don't think anybody
Or
calls themselves a wizard.
well, that's what movies do.
Well,
Right?
yes, in the movies.
So and the particular kind of old man with a view
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
stick, right? So oh Yoda?
That
No
is
one
not a
touched it.
person. That is not a human.
Oh, okay. It has to be a human. All right, guys. Sorry, Star Wars fans. Sorry. Um, no, the thing is, an average human being, why can't they just have a rose or they can have self care like you know that salt,
Yeah, the like
Himalayan
bath
salt.
salts or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And do they have to say I practice witchcraft?
No,
So
no.
why do you use that term?
Um, it's a good question. I guess
So why is the label necessary because you know why? Let me tell you. Say if there's a Christian
Mhm.
and a Christian also like a Christian goes to church and everybody knows they're Christian and now they are wearing some stones
Mhm.
or they're wearing that evil eye. Why? Because they traveled to Turkey
Mhm.
and you know where they sell this evil eyes
Yeah.
and they wear that. And or they're doing those bathing rituals with
Mhm.
the salt. Why? Because they went to say Pakistan and there's a
Yeah.
lot of salt there. Or they went to say, I think I heard somewhere in Russian countries where men are also given flowers.
Mhm.
The person is carrying a bouquet of flowers because they recently gotten to know someone in the neighborhood moved from Ukraine, someone else moved from Russia, and they brought their traditions. So now, other churchgoers might think, oh my God, he has become a witch.
Yeah.
Why? Because of those titles. So that's why I'm asking that if there's no demon involved, if there's no Satan involved, is there room for God in this belief system?
Yeah, absolutely. Different. So, first of all, going back to what you were saying, I would say that it is very terminology based. Like, I guess being a witch is subjective. I could say parts of Christianity are like witchcraft because, like, turning the bread into wine, that's all, or the water into wine, that's all symbolic.
Bread is becoming white. All right.
Um, and like the body of Christ, that is a symbolic ritual. Christmas, a lot of that comes from pagan traditions of having the Yule tree and the Yule log and that type of stuff. So it is just, I guess it is very subjective. It's just how you label yourself.
No, because see, right away when I think of a witch, I think, oh, she's not, her face is not green, she doesn't have a broom, she doesn't
No.
have a pointed hat,
Just,
she's not flying on a broom
no,
to get filmed here.
I
So,
didn't.
so
I
that's
wish. That
why
would be
it goes
fun.
back to the idea. You see how belief system gets developed
Mhm.
sometimes by merely seeing something.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned early on that you used to see a girl with her best friend.
Yeah.
So that's what you longed for
Mhm.
in your middle school,
Mhm.
because that's what shown as a norm to you,
Yeah.
right? And the same thing, people who struggle with racism,
Mhm.
people who don't like. There are people I know, like somebody say a black moves from France or a black adopted and growing up in a white household. Now, culturally, they are white. Racially, everybody thinks they're black, so they
Yeah.
expect them to do certain things they can't do. And it's attention. Why? Because the perception has been developed. Black people or black church has to be a certain way
Right.
versus. So that's why identities or titles are very important, right?
Mhm.
And when we have learned from the early childhood that whatever is pure, positive, and encouraging comes from God, whatever is destructive, who is Satan? A destroyer. Who is Satan? A deceiver. Who is Satan? A liar, right?
Yeah.
And who is Satan? A negative. So, yeah, if somebody says positive energy versus negative energy still kind of makes sense. But a person who has such an angel and a witch, so they'll right away think, oh, so which belongs to that group.
Right, right. I mean, you asked me if there's room for God
Mhm.
in someone who calls themselves a witch, I guess. And I think that there are lots of different, just what, from people that I've talked to that are also witches because they're my friends.
Oh, I thought you had maybe
I'm friends with every witch
a
ever.
group of meeting
No,
that takes place in the moon
no. Again, that sounds cool. I would do that, but no.
with like cloaks.
No,
Okay.
no. Um, there's room for lots of different gods from all different religions. There are witches that are Christian and call themselves Christian witches. There are witches that practice Hellenism and like follow like the Greek pantheon or the Roman pantheon even from
So wait, so witches are like Is it like a medical science? A doctor could be a Muslim, Christian, or and they
Yeah,
work with the
yeah.
depending if they're more like scientist type doctors,
I see
MD,
what. Yeah,
PhD, so they will take these species and work on a rat.
yeah,
But their personal religious identification or upbringing has been a Muslim, Christian,
yeah.
and Jew.
I think it can be both. I think you can just solely identify as a witch, or you can say I'm a Christian and I practice witchcraft, or I whatever. I think it can go either way.
But
It's just
witchcraft in that sense means having a self love or having things around us that are nature based and working on a self love.
I don't know what the definition
No, like
is.
if we were to understand it, those of us who don't really understand it,
Um,
that's what I heard from you.
yeah, just like and using energy work and using yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I never was able to make that.
Just to as a tool. Yes.
Okay. So can you manipulate an energy?
Not in the sense that you would in the movies.
Okay.
I'm not gonna. I
So
can't
not like a
I can't
Doctor
use
Strange.
the force and make this. No.
Have you seen Doctor Strange?
No.
Oh, okay. That would have been easier because they do like this, and there's the ring of fire.
No, I do know what you're talking about.
Okay, so that's what I think witchcraft is. I was like, oh my god, like now
But that's
it's
what it is in
fire.
the movies. It's not what it is in
Mm.
real life.
Ah,
If you
okay.
actually identify with that.
So a person can still believe in God,
Mhm.
and but depends. If it's from a Christian background, then there's a triune God, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and someone else might be of a different religion.
Yeah, it can be monotheistic, polytheistic. Even you can be an atheist and identify as a witch because it's not about the god. It's about like the energy and the world.
Okay, where do you stand in all of that?
Um. So I said before, I believe that all religions have some truth to it. So I definitely.
No, wait. I understand the truth part because, as I told you, I have studied more than one religion. So I was just
Yeah.
talking about Islam. Um, but when it comes to the higher power or the idea of soul
Yeah.
or sanctification of soul or salvation or
Right.
heaven or hell, then do you identify with any traditional belief system?
I would say it's like a mix of things. Just from the like witchcraft research I've done and growing up Christian. Also. Um, I definitely believe that Jesus existed and that God exists, but I also believe that the other gods from the other religion exist too.
Which kind of God?
Um,
Oh, but
like
I
the
was
Greek.
able to sleep tonight. It was like, oh my god. Oh, you mean like Hercules? Hercules? I can't.
Like yeah,
Hercules.
he's
Hercules.
a god.
Those kind of.
I thought he was just a person. Maybe he's a god.
No. Okay.
I don't know, but yeah, like Zeus and Aphrodite.
Mm.
I believe that they're real too.
And no, it's a very. I know I'm also talking more lightly, but for example, in Hinduism, right,
Hmm.
there are tons of gods.
Yeah.
But when you talk to a Hindu scholar, they they would say there's one God,
Hmm.
Ishwar.
Hmm.
In Hindi, they call Ishwar,
Hmm.
like we use the term God, the Father, that
Yeah.
God. And the other gods are more, it's an expression of God. It's like they have attributes of God, but those were not, because they were humans and with some godly attributes. They were not
So is it
God,
more
the
like
Father, who is
is
the
it more
creator
like
of.
how Catholics would say like saints?
Sorta, yeah.
Got it.
But I think in Hinduism they worship them more because you'll see these different gods and then some of them are half human, so you'll see their mini statues at different
Got it.
places, and people
Yeah.
develop particular connection to them. So that there is a difference between in that system the God versus gods,
Yeah.
and in Hinduism they try to use different words. But again, when you talk to a scholar, then it will be explained well, and it might be The struggle I have had with even Christian denominations like Catholicism, I think Catholic uh, scholars are one of the finest scholars we have had. But when it comes to the congregants, most of the congregants don't even understand the difference between Catholicism and other denominations. They
Yeah.
think it's a total different religion or something.
Right.
So, so that's why I'm just trying to understand that when you say other gods, is it like you differentiate in your system God, the Father using Christian language versus the other gods, like Hinduism does, or like there are tons of people and they all
No, I would just say that there's tons.
and they all rule the universe.
I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I hope they don't fight over each other. Like, so they might be conservatives and liberal gods, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh my God. So yeah, that's very interesting. You're Christian witch, if you're just a witch,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.